Well, senior living is defined a little bit different in different parts of the world. Basically, this whole concept has come about because of the breakup of the joint family.
Right.
So, can you live as a community even if you're a senior citizen?
Okay.
But there have been retirement communities sprouting every now and then, growing at the rate of 15 to 20% per annum. How do I live daily?
Right.
And one doesn't really live in a hospital or a nursing home. It's one of the niche segments in real estate that has the fastest growth. And it's not something which cannot also be thought of in the way of profession or a career or for a builder as a business segment.
Welcome back to another episode of PropSutra with Balaji Rao. PropSutra is presented to you by Prop News Time. At PropSutra, we aim to demystify and decode real estate. We cut through the jargon to help you navigate the sector, both as a real estate professional and as an end user. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Today, I'd like to talk to you about senior living. Let's begin with, how do you define senior living?
Well, senior living is defined a little bit different in different parts of the world. In India, a senior citizen is generally an individual who is over 60 years of age. And a super senior citizen is somebody who is over 80 years of age. Abroad is mostly 65 years because the retirement age is also 65. Okay. So they consider senior citizens to be above 65. So any individual who is above this particular age limit, like say if you're talking about India, above 60 would be considered as a senior citizen.
Okay. What options are there for senior citizens in India?
See, when you look at senior living, what we are discussing today is basically this whole concept has come about because of the breakup of the joint family. In India, traditionally, there would be the joint family. So you would have generations of people staying in one particular location or in a house or a dwelling unit. Today, it's becoming more and more nuclear.
Okay.
One, because people are migrating to cities, various cities, locations, going abroad for jobs, for professions, for businesses. So naturally, when you migrate and the family breaks up, you have nuclear families.
Right.
And if you have nuclear families, that means the older generation who are senior citizens are sometimes isolated.
Right.
They can be alone, they can be still be as a couple, but they are isolated and do not have the support of their children anymore or grandchildren. Okay? So when this happens, the question comes up is, how do you take care of them? What are the options, as you're saying you have?
Yes.
Most world over still, the majority of the people still live on their own.
Okay.
They don't really move rapidly into retirement homes or senior living, even in a place like US or UK.
Okay.
It is popular, but not that popular because the penetration out there is also very low, in single digits or just about 10% or so.
Okay.
So the world over, you will see the maximum people still stay on their own and try to get help,
Okay.
whether it's part-time, full-time, and who assist them in their living. That's the
Right.
world over thing. But what's happening recently and the rapid growth we are seeing in this community senior living is when you're on your own and you get help, one, it's economically not viable
Right.
because that help is coming for only one person, even though he might not require that help throughout. Two, you're still isolated emotionally, mentally.
Right.
You understand? Because you're not going to be really jiving and vibing with the help.
Right.
You understand? So you are still isolated. You do not have like-minded people. It's not a community. So what has really sprung about over the last couple of decades, we have seen, is the whole community living.
Right.
So can you live as a community even if you're a senior citizen? Can people be bunched together?
Right.
And can they then have lot more interdependency,
Okay.
a lot more interaction,
Right.
which helps them actually in aging and healing also. Because you're being able to discuss, talk, indulge in activities, whether you're playing indoor games, board games, whatever you want to do. You understand? So this is the growth which has been really rapid over the last decade, and I believe in the future also this will be really expanding at a fast pace.
Okay. So, how big is the current market in India?
See, it's very difficult to really do it because one thing in India about senior living is it is a quite a dispersed market. It's quite completely, all over the place, and it is all small players. There are no big key players. So it's very difficult to have a idea of the size of the market.
Okay.
But there have been retirement communities sprouting every now and then, and they're small, some are medium sized. There are some big names which have come about who are good operators of such retirement communities. But I would still believe the market to be in the range of maybe a couple of $1 billion. That's all. I don't see it in a big way as a large market yet. But I believe the growth, the CAGR, what we call, the annual growth rate, is going to be in the mid-teens or so. It's growing at the rate of 15 to 20% per annum.
Okay.
And that means it's a sunrise sort of a market or a segment that people should be addressing.
Most of the senior living facilities that we see in India are largely concentrated in the south. Why do you think that is?
There's no real hard and fast. You're right about we find about 65 to 70% of senior living communities in the south, which is basically you'll find them in Bangalore or Chennai or Coimbatore.
Yes.
And it's also come into Pune a little here, if you say south of Vindhyas. And then there's a little bit in the north, which you see in NCR area, Chandigarh and Dehradun and all that. But basically, I think the south grew faster.
Okay.
Because my take on that is very different. I think the maximum number of people who migrated to the Western countries for IT purposes come from the south.
Okay.
And when the sons have migrated and the parents have to look out for themselves, I think the sons are far more comfortable in putting them in retirement communities than leaving them alone in their ancestral homes.
Right.
So I think that growth trend is what we are seeing as the growth of the retirement communities in the south.
Right.
Okay, we see far fewer in Mumbai, for example,
Yes.
because I think of the cost of real estate is prohibitive. So you're being forced to go into the peripheral outskirts of the metropolitan city,
Right.
or you will be going into tier 2, tier 3 cities
Right.
in and around that MMR area. So I think in the south, the cost of real estate is also very reasonable for them to be able to do it effectively. So I think healthcare is very better in the south. And as when you say senior living, it's more of healthcare
Right.
sometimes than entertainment. So when you talk about healthcare, then the climate is very good in places like Bangalore and Pune, much better than other places. So I think all this is contributing to the growth of these whole senior living communities in the south.
What are some of the models that we have in India for senior living, assisted living?
Yeah, interesting question, because see, when we say senior living, it's a very broad
Right.
brush stroke, to say
Yeah.
anybody over 60, where do they stay? But basically, if you break it up there into 3 categories, you will see all over the world. So the first category of senior living is when you can live still independently.
Right.
And you have come into the community only for some shared facilities.
Okay.
Which can be recreational, which can be necessity like a cafeteria, food, laundry, or it can be healthcare shared facilities.
Right.
Where you have a nurse or you have a doctor visiting. So it becomes easier to be in the community, but not that you need them for your everyday life.
Right.
So you are moved in there because you feel you have like-minded people whom you can talk to and you can enjoy. So that is just the pure what we call senior living, independent living.
Right.
Okay. And that you will usually find from maybe it starts from the mid 60s to the early 70s when people move. They move into that sort of a facility.
Right.
Then comes the second segment, which is called assisted living.
Right.
Now, I would feel in the mid 70s or early 70s, you might require more than just being able to be independent and requiring an occasional visit. You might require more dependence on trained people to help you,
Right.
either physically or with some of the tasks which you have to do. So, basically, that is called assisted living.
Right.
You're not completely broken down,
Yes.
but you do need an attendant to come, maybe help you to take a bath or do any of your normal daily functions. And so that is again much more easier in a senior living community. Rather than
Right.
have one person for yourself, there can be a fewer number of people addressing a larger number of residents. So that assisted living is the next step. You have a different sort of a facility where you get a different sort of even the infrastructure with guide rails and help in going around, or it will be wheelchair friendly, so that even if you're handicapped a little, you can still enjoy the facilities
Right.
what you see. And then the final stage is when you require round the clock sort of treatment. It might be as morbid as a hospice, where you're waiting to pass away peacefully, or it can be that you do require round the clock because of whatever physical or mental disability you have.
Right.
Okay, because this can be physical also and this can be mental also. That's why we have in this whole facility a thing called memory care.
Right.
When memory fades away, it's called memory care.
Right.
That means you might be in your 60s and lose it, you might be in your 70s and lose it, or you might be in your 80s, 90s and lose it.
Right.
Okay, so it can be both physical and mental. So broadly speaking, there are these three, where you can live independent, but you want a community because you want occasional interactions, where you need assistance on a daily basis, but it need not be round the clock, and where you actually need round the clock assistance, trained people to help you with your healthcare needs.
Yes.
So all three are sometimes there. Sometimes you find facilities which offer one of the three or two of the three, but most of the time the better facilities offer you an integrated service.
Right.
It's called some continuous care retirement communities, where you actually have all the three. You can go in as a senior citizen, then maybe keep on getting on to assisted living, and finally you will go to the total assisted sort of from a 24 care facility to a 24 care facility sort of a thing. So basically, I think the best facilities are those which are seamless and integrated, and if one can get that from a good operator in a good location, which has all the comforts and the conveniences, I think you would have hit the right place.
Right. Well, when people need more intensive care, how does this compare to, say, putting a family member or yourself in a hospital or a nursing home?
See, there's a difference, because in a hospital or in a nursing home, you are going there to treat a particular ailment or an infection. You understand?
Yes.
You can't go into a hospital or nursing home just for day-to-day stay.
Yes.
You understand? It's quite likely I can be bedridden, for example.
Right.
You don't need a hospital for that.
Right.
I need to be in my house and I need an attendant who will take care of all my needs.
Yes.
You understand? But if you suffer from some problem, severe problem, then you go to a hospital for the treatment, for the diagnosis. So I don't think it can be compared to a hospital or a nursing home.
Okay.
Because this is for the day-to-day needs. How do I live daily?
Right.
And one doesn't really live in a hospital or a nursing home. Just like when you need a residence, you don't like to live in a hotel, do you?
Yes.
24/7, 365. You live in a house, a
Yes.
home, the same way.
So, what are the business opportunities available for real estate professionals in this sector?
A very good question, because in fact, when you think about senior living, it's one of the niche segments in real estate that has the fastest growth.
Okay.
Because as numbers go, a little bit to give a color and context, India has roughly 150 million senior citizens,
Okay.
the silver generation as we call it.
Right.
Correct? It might look as if it's only 10% of our population, but in numbers is huge,
Right.
bigger than what any developed country can ever throw up.
Right.
And between India and China, we will have the maximum number of people in the next 5 years
Right.
of senior citizens. So we are so predominantly large in the size, and to address that, we have to think what is the solution. And whenever we think of solution, that means all real estate professionals get involved.
Right.
Whether it's a developer, whether it's a funder, a financier, whether it's an architect, whether it's an interior decorator,
Yes.
or whether it is an actual consumer sort of a thing.
Right.
The whole chain gets involved as to how do we address these people.
Right.
You understand? Because even if you say that there will be a penetration of only 10% in India, like in developed countries, maybe.
Right.
Okay, even the other 90% who live in independent flats will require changes.
Right. To make it more friendly to their
Correct.
conditions.
Think about a builder. No builder ever builds an apartment, think he makes a master bedroom, but does he ever make a bedroom for our parents? Where there's a bigger bathroom or there's some sort of a rail or, support system. He doesn't. Why not?
Yeah.
Why does he think that I'll kick my parents out if I'm in a huge house?
Fair.
This is what I call myopia. Short-sightedness and your in your own arrogance thinking that मेरा flat सब बिकता है, line लग जाता है. This will be very short-lived.
Right.
Because markets tend to balance out.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So when you think about senior living, it's not just senior living communities, I'm saying.
Right.
Even to think about seniors as a community is going to be big business. And guess what? Most of the senior people are the ones with the wealth, no?
Yes.
They might be emotionally dependent on their children and grandchildren, but still most of them will hold the purse strings.
Yes.
So you are addressing a segment that is wealthy, that is needing some sort of issues that need to be addressed.
Right.
Correct? So when you see that sort of a segment, everything changes. If a developer believes that he has a tract of land maybe in an extended or peripheral suburb, can he think of making a retirement community
Right.
instead of making second home villas? Because it's equally profitable.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
So, but everybody thinks that, oh, I'm going to make some exotic villa, Spanish villa, this villa, which makes no sense.
Yes.
Because and then they wonder why they are stuck in the project and why nobody is funding it or why nobody is buying it. Because it's like a herd mentality.
Right.
But if you're an entrepreneur or a builder, you should not have a herd mentality. You should address the market need.
Right.
And what is the market need?
Right.
Correct? So there is a market need for senior communities and they need to figure out how do I build that.
Right.
It's not rocket science. It just requires for people to sit and focus. What do I need for them? How do I help them?
Right.
And it's not that they're helping them free. I'm not saying you have to subsidize it. People will pay. So when we talked about service real estate,
Yes.
you understand,
Yeah.
this is going to be in the forefront.
Okay.
Because believe me, the other end of it, which is like say co-living or student housing and things like that, they do not have the money as much as these people have.
Correct.
So if I was a builder, I would always want to attract the senior citizens to come and do something.
Right.
And we do find some extremely luxurious community living in
Yes.
the north.
Yeah.
And they're doing very well profitably.
Right.
You understand? So whether you're doing it as a luxury or as a premium or as economy, there's money to be made across the spectrum.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
And if a builder does it, then you need a realtor or a real estate agent to sell it.
I was going to come to that to ask you, is there a gap here where, say, brokers can specialize in senior living opportunities?
Of course they should. Just like you have brokers who specialize in, say, leave and licenses or lease agreements.
Yes.
You will have realtors who will need to specialize in
Right.
senior living.
Yeah.
Who will be able to tell you, because today if I want to talk to someone and want to know, because I've become a senior citizen, what
Right.
are my options? Is there a specialist out there who will address it?
Right.
Or do I do my own Google research?
Yes. Yeah. Because there are a lot of concerns, and we spoke to a few people. When there's limited information, you're always concerned about whether, the place actually looks like the pictures or looks like the brochure. And there's no one person who can guide you through what sort of facility you need, when you need to, maybe, what, depending on the family member you want to put there, or even yourself, how do you go about selecting the right space? Um, do you think that?
So is it that the white space?
Yes.
What you're talking is you're telling me there's no specialist. No?
Correct.
So suppose I'm a realtor tomorrow
Yeah.
and I say, look, I specialize in trying to get the best accommodation for the seniors living with you,
Right.
or for the seniors in your family. Reach out to me. So you'll call out to me. I will tell you, yes, there is a facility here, there's a facility in Pune, there's a facility in Coimbatore. These are actual pictures which I'm showing you.
Yeah.
What is wrong?
No, it's it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you keep tearing your hair out कि ये building नहीं बिकता है, ये flat rent पे नहीं जाता है?
Could investor landlords consider taking a few apartments and turning them into care facilities?
See, it requires a minimum size. In my opinion, in a place like Mumbai, this is happening, where certain builders or investors are just taking, 10 flats in a building, 5 flats in a building, and converting it into a retirement home or for assisted living. It can happen. If there's something is better than nothing.
Right.
But basically, if you do not have a critical size, you cannot provide amenities.
Fair. Yeah.
You understand? If I have a critical size, or let's say I have 100, I can easily provide even a small ICU ward na,
Yes.
for emergency needs. I can provide round the clock nurse and doctor. Na.
Yes.
I can provide an ambulance on the premises. Na.
Yeah.
But if I have only 10, this will become very expensive for them.
Right.
So, any facility which has more beds, more units, are in a better position to give you more sort of amenities. You understand? Which can help you in your day-to-day living.
Right. So you're saying essentially it can be broken up, that somebody can develop, somebody can operate, and somebody can.
The business model is always like
Yeah.
that, because somebody develops it. He usually is the initial owner. So there's a developer, there's a owner, and most of the time it is operated by someone, just like in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
The operator will want to be asset light, what we call. He won't want to own the premises.
Right.
So he'll just operate. So there will be a different operator. Over time, the developer might sell off that whole thing to an investor.
Right.
Because once it is stabilized, he knows what sort of money he's putting in, what sort of return he's getting.
Right.
So he buys it off. He might say, okay, I'll give you 100 crores because this is throwing me a net income of 6-7 crores every year.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So he sells it off. Now that can be a REIT-like structure, it can be a fund, it can be a long-term investor or a family office. So all three will differ. The developer who has developed it, the owner who will be holding it for a longer term, and the operator who operates it on a day-to-day basis.
And we also have the realtor who can sell it.
You need to have a realtor, exactly. Because I know most people think that realtors are of not much use. I don't agree with it. I believe you always need an agent or an intermediary who is knowledgeable, who specializes, and who can assist you in finding the right fit.
Right. In our last segment, I'd like to talk to you about senior living from a customer's angle. So, how do I begin searching for a facility?
Well, see, most of the people begin by either word of mouth, something they've heard, they spread the word around. Some people will begin by Googling and checking which are the communities. But I don't think it's very easy today.
Yes.
It is, in fact, pretty much of a black hole where there's not much light shining,
Right.
because you're doing your own research, you're figuring out. I wish there would be more specialists who will be helping them. And so, from a customer angle, what do they see generally? They will be looking at something what is convenient, what is comfortable, meets with all their things, what gives them a community-like feeling, and finally, whether it fits in with their cost
Right.
expectation or whatever they have budgeted.
Yes.
So they tend to think as to what is the closest to their so-called family which they have, and whether that is really good enough for them to stay, whether they're like-minded people, the community. So which is what I call the comfort and the convenience. And finally, whether it fits in with their cost. See, the cost is also all over the place in this
Yes.
case. So I have a feeling that's how they look at it. But my approach to it would be, besides this, what is more important for them to look at is what I would call the security and the safety and the standardization, the 3 S's instead of the 3 C's. You understand? Why safety? Because you need to be safe, from a physical or any way, you need to feel that peace of mind. It's not just comfort and convenience. You should believe the medical facility they have, the ambulance they have, the nearest hospital they have can save you when something goes wrong. You understand? You need to feel secure that you're not going to be harmed, you're not going to be mistreated, somebody is not going to act high-handed with you, even if it is a nurse or an attendant. You don't want to be treated without dignity.
Right.
So whether the dignity and respect comes in, that is the security you want.
Yes.
And finally, it's standardized. You want, as you become older, most old people want to have a discipline,
Right.
contrary to what people think. Children on one hand and adults, old people need discipline.
Right.
Without discipline, they find their life, a little bit foggy, if I can put it.
Right.
So they need to know that, yes, this has a very strict discipline, whether at 8 o'clock they'll get their breakfast, this one will come here, the physiotherapy is at this time. So whether it is developed and standardized, it now doesn't vary, that one day the lunch is good, the second day the lunch is bad, the third day they're throwing up.
Yes.
You understand? So and that is what a good community operator can bring to the table.
A professionally run center.
Professionally, the safety, the security and the standardization, you understand, which can be sometimes better than what is in your individual home.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
You understand? Because in your individual home also you'll be depending on servants.
Correct.
You understand? So this is very important, more than the comfort, convenience and the cost which people look at.
Right.
You understand? So I would feel that people should look at both these dimensions and then take the right call.
Okay. So in India, you have a few models. You have an outright sale model, you have a lease model. Can you just quickly run us through that?
See, there are 3 models in India at the moment. The bulk of it, about 80-85%, is in the outright sale,
Okay.
where somebody says, this is the whole community I have built. You can buy your apartment. In some cases, you can buy a villa if you're very rich. But in the typical premium category, middle class category, you'll buy an apartment whether you want a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK or just a studio or whatever it is, or
Yes.
have just a bed. And this is what you have to do. And along with that, buying what you do, you will also be having a monthly expense, because they'll take care of your needs, they will take care of your food. Now, typically, if you're in a metro, that buying might go up to 1 crore and even above.
Right.
In a closer place, it might go up to 2 crores or 3
Yes.
crores.
Yeah.
But in a slightly tier 2, tier 3 city or a peripheral, you can maybe do it from 50 lakhs to 1 crore,
Right.
that unit. And then you have the monthly expense per
Yes.
person. What will it be like? Now that can also range in a big way,
Yes.
right from 20-25,000 per person to 1 lakh per person, depending on what sort of facilities are being offered. So there is a range for the economy, for the premium, for the luxury, and there are different types of facilities. So the bulk is with the outright sale.
Right.
Then there's a lesser portion of about 10% where there's a lease model, where you doing something with a deposit, you put a deposit and then you are giving some sort of a lease rental and monthly maintenance. And then finally a small percentage is of pure rental,
Right.
where everything is per month, because you're unable to put up a deposit. There are government schemes which help this through NGOs for the absolute poor and the needy, to give them a home. But I'm not discussing that because
Right.
it's not extensive at the moment.
Yes.
We will get there slowly.
Right.
But for a typical middle class person, what does he expect to be able to spend? In my opinion, you would be thinking in the range of 50 lakhs a bed and
Right.
around 30 to 50,000 a month.
Right.
Now, as you go premium, this will go up maybe from 50 lakhs to 1 crore and 1 lakh a month. And if you go into the luxury, it might go into crores for the unit and a couple of lakhs per month for your maintenance. So
Right.
it depends on which category you want to fall into.
Right. Now you mentioned earlier that the audience that we're dealing with, of course, is has money. But having said that, if someone didn't have the requisite money upfront to put it, abroad there's a popular concept called reverse mortgages. Can you explain that to us?
See, reverse mortgage is a very different financial concept for senior citizens, where suppose you're the owner of a house, okay, and you're paid off the mortgage because by the time you retire, most of the EMIs are paid off because
Yes.
that's how it is structured. So now you have a house which is free of mortgages, suppose, but you don't have any income. So I reverse that mortgage.
Right.
So now I tell the bank that you pay me monthly so much, just like a EMI,
Okay.
and I put the house as a collateral.
Right.
So what happens when I die? When I die, then that house is sold off by the bank. And all what they have paid me as EMI is collected back and the balance is given to my heirs.
Okay.
That's how a reverse mortgage works.
Right.
So I have paid 1 lakh a month to make a 1 crore house. I have paid it for 30 years. Now I retired, I have a 1 crore house, which might have easily become 3 crores by then.
Yes.
So now I reverse it and tell them, you pay me 2 lakhs a month. I will live with it.
Right.
And when I die after 15, 20 years also, you take the house, sell it. By that time, there's all this 2 lakhs would have accumulated, maybe to 3 crores. Take away the 3 crores and the balance you give it to my heirs.
Right.
That is a simple way of illustrating a reverse mortgage.
Okay.
But it is nothing to do with senior living. It is a means of financing.
What are your closing thoughts for this episode, sir?
I think what we are talking about is a growing segment, is a absolute social need, and it's not something which cannot also be thought of in the way of profession or a career or for a builder as a business segment. You understand? So I think this is something which should be further researched. It should be something where people should specialize in it and people should take it seriously because we will have 200 million senior citizens in another 5 years.
Right.
And that's a large number. And how you take care of them, a country's, they say civilization, depends upon how you take care of the infants and the old people because they are the dependents.
Yes.
So it depends on how you address their issues and their concerns. And what is really also a crying need is if we get these sort of community livings and retirement homes, you will also need to have a regulator like RERA, either a branch of RERA which monitors how they are being run. Otherwise, there will be pockets of exploitation.
Right.
And that's not correct. So this is a vulnerable community which needs to be looked after and regulated, and licensed by the government.
Understood. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do share your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for regular notifications. Until next time, thank you so much for tuning in.